Hi. One of the things that I've always struggled with is building my network. It's one of the reasons why I recently signed up for Ryan Serhant's course program called Salad. And the first course I took there is Building Your Sphere of Influence, which was quite an interesting course. And one of the last parts in this course is creating a Sphere of Influence scorecard for your contacts so that you know when you want to follow up with those. Now, as a HubSpot consultant, obviously, I also want to automate all of this. I do use HubSpot myself, and I'm going to show you exactly how I built the Sphere of Influence scorecard fully automated in HubSpot. First of all, this is the course that I signed up for. It's called Salad, salad.com if you're interested. But if you're not part of this course and you found this video in another way, I think this video is also a great way to show you how you can make HubSpot work for you. I feel like you always start from a certain question, a certain challenge, something you want to build, and HubSpot can be quite complex at times, but you can really create any system you like within HubSpot to make this happen. So let's dive right in. Here you can see that for a decent amount of contacts, I already answered some questions about this sphere of influence. So I created this contact view called SOI score, where I can basically immediately see all of the questions that I answered for all of these contacts, then also their SOI score in this column. And then based on that score, I can also see the follow-up frequency. So for example, for this first person, that would be a high follow-up frequency, meaning monthly or bi-monthly. Now let's go into a bit more detail here for one contact. So I put this card at the top right now, since it's also top of mind for me. And here you can see the different questions that I'm answering. So I basically put the answers at the top here because this is the most important thing I want to see. But these two will be calculated automatically, and I'll show you exactly how this will work in a second. So the first question you're answering is, how important is this contact to my professional or networking goals? And then you can choose not important, somewhat important, very important, and extremely important. The next question, what ring is this contact in? You will need to take part in the course to know more about these rings, but it's basically like built like a big onion, where people at the outside are your audience and all the way at the inside, it's your advisory board. So this specific contact is in my advisory board. Then the next question is, how much value do I believe I offer to this contact and how much do they offer me? And here answers go from limited value exchange to exceptional value exchange. The next question, how frequently have I interacted with this contact in the past 6 months? Going from rarely or not at all to very frequently. And then the last question, to what extent does this contact align with my current networking and business objectives? And then you can choose the alignment going from limited to perfect alignment. Now, once you fill these out, you will see that this score is automatically calculated. In this case, the score is 12. And based on that score, it will also automatically set the follow-up frequency. And I'll show you how this is built. So first of all, let's have a look here at the properties. So the properties that I set up for this specifically are the ones that we just went over. And you can see here, so the one's follow-up frequency is a drop-down select, which you can see here. Then these are all drop-down selects. I'm not going to go into all of them since you just saw them. Then we have the Sphere of Influence score, which is a score property. And here I basically built a property as it is taught in the course, where you can set the scores based on the answers on the questions that I just went over. So here you can see how I build out this entire scoring system. And after this, I obviously had to build some automations to make this all work, right? So here you can see the first automation that I built is setting the follow-up frequency based on this Sphere of Influence score. How did I do this? So I created a automatic trigger based on when the property value for the SOI score changes. So whenever that value changes, this automation will run. And then based on the score that we get, so the maximum score is 20, by the way, based on the score we get, we will set the follow-up frequency to either low, moderate, high, or very high. And then for all of them, I also put between parentheses when I should follow up with them, so that that's clear for me as well. One thing I always do when building these automations or workflows is always add a task within the non-met criteria here, because technically we're not expecting anyone to end up here. But if it happens, I still want to have that task so I can immediately look into what has happened there and that I can fix this. So after you turn on this workflow, basically everything is already set automatically. Great. Now, the next step, because I'm a little bit of a lazy person sometimes, is creating some automation to make sure that I don't forget to follow up with these people. So first thing to do there is create a list. I always name my lists in a way that it's easy to understand. So contacts that need to be followed up with based on their SOI follow-up frequency. Then you can see that I created different groups here. So if the follow-up frequency is low, so that means semi-annually or annually, and last contacted is more than 180 days ago, they need to be part of this list, which I will use for an automation next. And then the same thing for moderate, where we set it the last contacted to more than 90 days, high follow-up for 60 days, and then very high follow-up 14 days. So once we have done this, we can do the last part of the automation here, which is creating a task for the follow-up whenever somebody gets added to that list. The reason I work with a list here is because it's easier to make the re-enrollment work, because unless you have a HubSpot operations hub, professional or enterprise, you will not be able to set the enrollment or like make it an automatic workflow that happens once a day, which is something you could also use for this kind of stuff. But if you're just working with like a sales professional, for example, this is a great way to make this kind of automated follow-up task work for you. So I hope this was interesting for you. I think for me so far it's already been quite valuable. So that's also, I built this a couple of days ago, filled out all of these properties, and already gave me a better idea of who I need to follow up with. But I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions about this workflow or something else, just leave it in the comments below, and I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you. Bye.